What's up, YouTube? So I decided to do some more Torp controller testing. This is the TC500. If you haven't seen any of my videos before, you know I did an installation on this and a comparison with KO on the stock battery, stock power equivalent on the KO. But now I've got the Chai battery in here. This is the Chai 60 volt compact. We're gonna basically see how fast we can go on this thing and what it can do as far as speed and stuff like that. All right, as you can see, we have this Chai battery. This is the Chai 60 volt compact, and it's capable of up to 22 kilowatt. Torp controller, I don't think can go that high, definitely not the motor. So I just turned the key on in the Torp controller settings. I'm gonna need to go and find the battery. I can go 60, and I think the max it's going to let me go is only at 14.4 and 500 phase amps. 72. So those are the four options: 60 volt, 72 volt, or stock bypass. So if I pick 60 volt, we set the field weakening at 49 amps, which is below the 50 that they're talking about, and we have 14.5 kilowatt, 500 phase amps. That should be good. So something I'm noticing on this app, playing around with it, it's showing you an estimated power, and that estimated power is just a guess. Like if you take 250 amps times 60, that should be 15 kilowatt. But also, and then the motor current, that's the phase amps. If you change this to infinite, it stays at estimated power, but I don't know if that's much different. So I'm gonna do a speed test with 250, which should be 15 kilowatt, and 500 phase amps, and then I'm gonna turn it to infinite and see what our speed test shows. So let's see how that goes. So for comparison, what the Torp display shows is pretty on point. I mean, it's a little delayed to get there, or one of the two is delayed, but they're pretty much the same. All right, we're gonna go down this road, see what our top speed is. So GPS showed 57, the display showed 60, and I would bet that the GPS is going to be more accurate on that one. I mean, it held 57 for quite a minute. We'll go back up and see if the speed's any different going up the hill, and then we'll change it to infinite and see if there's any difference there. We got 57 both directions. Let's just change the setting to be infinite, or whatever it thinks that's going to be. If there's any difference there, you know, this will tell us. By the way, the display on the Torp app, if I went here and it shows here, that's the same that will show there. So I'm using a different GPS. That's why I'm not using the display on here, because I can see it here. So I figure using a different display or a different GPS give us a little bit more. Plus I've used this one a lot next to cars and other things, and it gives me a pretty accurate reading, so we'll keep going with this one. All right, here's the test for the unlimited. So definitely a difference there. So it's, I don't know what that really does. I guess it's guessing what it can do. There's definitely a difference between that 250 amp and whatever it thinks is unlimited. So you saw there my max speed was 59. Over here on the display it showed 62. I'll go back to my neighborhood and do another launch test with it set to this setting. Actually, I'll set it back to 250 just so that I know I can compare apples to apples. So 60 miles an hour with the the Torp controller and a aftermarket battery, I feel like not bad. And if you guys are watching this, it's probably because you're interested in the Torp and wondering what it can do. I showed you the video. If you haven't seen the video for the stock battery, you know, I'll put a link maybe up here, and then you can check that video out and see what it can do. Going on the stock battery, you can literally take that bike, the battery, from 5.4 kilowatt to 7.4 kilowatt, an extra 2 kilowatts on a stock battery, not bypassed. That's a huge bump in power without having to buy a battery. So you can just get the controller and do that. Just keep in mind that the more power you're drawing out of that stock battery, the shorter life you're gonna get. You know, you're gonna have a lot less range than you would, and already the stock batteries aren't great on range. But if you're out there playing and having fun at that 7.4 kilowatt, and if you have a 38 amp hour stock Sur-Ron battery, you can go all the way up to 8.6 kilowatt on that battery. That's not a joke. I mean, that's pretty good. My son's loving it. He rides this bike with the stock battery all the time. I have 2 stock batteries so that he can switch out between the 2. He's having a blast with it, and he thinks it's great. He feels like 7.5 kilowatt is like perfect power. I think a lot of people are out there wondering like, oh man, I can't drop $3 grand to upgrade my bike. I'm gonna maybe do something in the interim. You can get the controller and ride on stock batteries and still get that upgrade, and then double your power to 15 kilowatt if you get an aftermarket battery down the road, you know. So that's a great option for a lot of people, other than going with X9000 where you aren't going to get anything, it's just the controller. Same with the KO. You're not going to get, you'll get a little bit extra power, a little bit extra phase amps and torque, tiny bit extra speed, because I did that. I was on my stock or KO with the stock battery for a few months before I got the Chai, and it did give you a little feel for upgrade, but it's not the same as 7.5 kilowatt. You got to keep that kind of stuff in mind. If you are going to do the full upgrade, then going with other options might be better for you. Maybe the KO or the X9000 or Electro and KO, or there's a bunch of different controllers out there nowadays. Definitely if you're going to drop pocket in one shot, then you have some stuff to think about. If you're going to just take a step, the Torp is a good way to do it. This was a video to show you what it could actually do with an aftermarket battery. You got to remember that KO and the X9000, their phase amps can go way higher. I mean, not the Nano. The Nano doesn't go as high. But anyway, this is only 500 phase amps. My KO Pro controller can go up to 800 phase amps. You know, some of them go up to 1,000. On my KO controller, I think I can get mine up to 17 to 20 kilowatt with what I have with that kind of stuff. It's a little bit different, but have I ever used that? No. Will a lot of people out there use it? Maybe. I mean, I don't know, but the question is, would you use it? Do you need more than 15 kilowatt? If you don't, because I don't think that people really do. I think that 15 is kind of crazy, and it's a lot of speed and power, and 500 phase amps is probably more than enough for most people. If you don't need that much kind of crazy power, then this is a good setup. So keep that in mind. I'm going to do this launch test. All right, if you've watched my videos in the past, you know this is kind of my starting point. Between these 2 lines to the manhole down there. I'm on the Infinite with 500 phase amps. 3, 2, 1, go. We'll do one more just for fun. 3, 2, 1, go. We'll switch over to the KO and see what that one does. Oh, the Torp is feeling good, and I have to say the throttle is pretty smooth. We got all this sorted out. We got the battery back in my bike with the KO controller. This is the Pro, and yeah, if you saw the intro to this video, you know that the ending of that run on that bike didn't end so well. Don't worry, I'm not hurt. The only thing that's hurt is my pride and my ass, really, but no, I'm fine. Just a few scrapes. But to note, I was doing great. The difference, and this is for all you guys that like to do wheelies out there, when you get used to a bike and what that regen feels like and what the throttle back feels like and stuff, and you get on a different bike, you got to be careful or take some time getting used to it. you know, I don't ride this bike as much. My son's used to it. He rides wheelies all the time and it's fine. And I was going great. I was coming down the road just fine. I just went past the balance point and I let off thinking that I had the throttle back regen like my bike has, and I didn't, and it was too late. By the time I was just ramming on the brake, I was already down. So that kind of stuff can come up and bite you in the ass pretty quick, so be mindful of that. So nothing wrong with that bike, and the throttle honestly felt smooth. I just got too far back, and when I let off I wasn't ready for it. So let's get this thing going. We'll do the same thing. We'll do a couple of launch tests. Let's look at the co-app here. I'm going to, we got 15, which is 250. We set that in that one. And instead of the phase amps being at 6, we'll set it to 500, which was the max that one did. The field weakening, and we'll put it at the middle. We'll say level 3. So now we roughly have the same exact settings on the Co that we did on the Torp controller, and we'll see what we can get with like a speed test and launching. So yeah, it's a little embarrassing to loop out like that. I haven't looped out for a while, and you know, it happens though. You know, if you're not willing to crash, you shouldn't be doing stuff like that in the beginning. So let's do this first initial launch test. We're here. 3, 2, 1, go. Definitely feels about the same, like it's quick. All right, round 2, 3, 2, 1, go. Now we'll do a max speed test. Here we go. We got 58. I don't feel like it was going to get any higher than that, but we're using the Co app. Let's look at that speedometer app. Let's use this speedometer app like we did on the other bike. All right. Same speed, so I feel like the Co app, I feel like the field weakening is locking that down. I could feel it hit the rev limiter, the RPMs, you know, basically rev limiter. I love that. I felt it hit the max RPMs that the motor was going to allow it to do, and that's what the field weakening does, is it allows that motor to go a little bit beyond those max RPMs. So I feel like 58 with this sprocket, this wheel size, and that's another thing to take into consideration, is that this is a 16-inch rear tire, that's a 19-inch. They both have 48.2 sprockets, so theoretically that one should get a little bit of higher top speed, which it did, and this one should have a quicker launch time, which I wouldn't doubt if it did. So with all that in mind, you know, I'll let you guys take all this information and do with what you want. Like, I'm not going to talk trash on my Co. They've fixed the throttle issues and it feels great. I love my bike the way it is. I do have some other stuff coming in. It's not a controller or a battery, so you know, a little bit more work left to be done on this one. And while this one's a little worse for wear after yesterday, just a little seat scratch and some peg scratches, but the Torp is a great choice for people who are running these stock batteries. If you're only planning on going up to 15 kilowatt, that TC500, you can upgrade a battery and get up to 15 kilowatt, or use a stock and get up to 7.4 or 8.6 if you have the 38 amp hour battery. So that's the conclusion, really. Like, I'll show the numbers up on the screen here, and you guys can look at that comparison, see what those times were, make the choices, make your own decisions. I'm just providing information, and you know, I'm not biased either way. I think both controllers are great. Just depends on the situation and personal preference. So, you know, if you're gonna go faster than 15 kilowatt, faster than 500 phase amps, you don't really want to go with the Torp TC500. They also have a bigger model, which is roughly the same price as these Co Pro controllers. So the TC1000, that would be the choice you could go with too, and probably still utilize the stock battery on that and upgrade to a battery later on. I don't have one of those to test. You know, this is what I have, so take that. If you like the video, go ahead and give me a like. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. If you like this content, you know, that'd be great. Helps the channel, helps me. And until the next time, unlike me, keep the rubber side down.